Hello everyone, good morning. This session AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner is in two parts. One is today and the second part will be tomorrow same time. This is for IT professionals who has no or very basic knowledge on AWS. During this course we will review the topics shown here, like what is cloud computing, review IT job roles and certifications, and we will review cloud practitioner syllabus also. And as part of cloud computing and the cloud practitioner certification exam, we will review regions, availability zones, billing and cost explorer, compliance and security, cloud services and use cases. So let's start the course. So we will start with cloud computing. So in 2006, Amazon Web Services began offering IT services to businesses as web services. That's what we call it as cloud computing. Okay. So in cloud computing, so we can read the AWS or what is cloud computing, and there is a good documentation on AWS. I have provided the links here. I will also provide these links in the description section. So let me open these links and we can read there itself, So AWS has very good documentation, okay. So on the cloud computing and their services, and also I would recommend you always stay with AWS documentation on online. This is an excellent source of information, and we don't need to, and it's always up to date. And AWS always keep updating the documentation. So better, and they enhance their services and features, and they come up with the new services. So I would recommend you always keep up to date on the AWS documentations. I will provide all these links, and we will start with what is cloud computing, a basic introduction, and then we will get into like IT jobs and the roles and what AWS job opportunities you will have in the IT industry, and what AWS services you need to learn for which services and all. So when AWS started with the cloud back 10-15 years ago, so even before cloud, it was everything was on premise, right? The traditional companies of IT, they used to have data centers physically and they manage themselves, right? So organizations of any size and type industry who uses software or IT companies, or they who need softwares to run for applications like websites, mobile apps, or any data backups. So for all this purpose, they used to manage their own data centers somewhere in the world, right? So when the cloud computing came, so what happened is AWS is one of the cloud computing services. When AWS came in picture, they started offering the infrastructure and software and the services around the globe on the cloud on demand. The companies don't need to anymore maintain their own hardware and infrastructure, and using the cloud computing, we can rent the infrastructure or we can utilize the platform as a service, and so that we can go fast. So companies doesn't need to manage the infrastructure overhead and their life cycle also. So the main benefits of cloud computing you need to know, because if you are planning to write this cloud like a AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam, that exam will look for your very basic understanding of what is the benefits of cloud computing, and what are the foundations of cloud computing concepts and all. So let's go through very quickly benefits, okay? So agility, right? So you will get access to AWS 200 plus services they have, and they are almost all in 50 plus countries. Their infrastructure is available. So you can go in no time, you can start any of your business products or services, you can deploy and start using them. Not only just the services, you can do Internet of Things, IoT devices, machine learning, analytics, data lakes, any you name any use case in your organization, any role you are in, you need IT software and support, right, infrastructure. So AWS provides those, and you don't need to spend time. Any organization doesn't need to spend time on procuring that hardware and maintaining infrastructure, right? That's the agility. Elasticity. The biggest benefit of cloud computing is so when you need more servers in a traditional organizations, you have to go through the procurement process, right? You need to ask for more servers, more storage, more capacity. And in AWS, elasticity is the highest benefit. So you want to have auto scaling horizontally or vertically, and you need more servers, more capacity, you can on the fly just click off buttons, you can get more compute. So that's why it is more elasticity. So you can, and cost saving. So as I was mentioning, you don't need to go through the whole cycle of procuring the infrastructure, right, and the hardware, and so that will save your cost, correct? And coming to sorry, let me go back to the screen. Yeah, cost saving. So that will save your cost. And not only that, AWS Cloud Computing gives you pay as you go model. So you will pay for the infrastructure only what you are using. So that way it will save the cost. There is no over provisioning or under provisioning, and you don't need to worry about those concepts, right? And deploying globally in minutes. This is another biggest benefits. Any organization who has managing their own infrastructure in a traditional data centers, they cannot really scale to the global level, right? So AWS already has infrastructure, 45 plus countries, regions they have, and so 30 plus countries they are already in, and it's keep growing. You can get the numbers real on their websites. So I can deploy any startup companies, any organization who wants to deploy their web application or any infrastructure services or any softwares, they can deploy globally in minutes because the infrastructure is ready to use. So the organization don't need to worry about their local data centers and building their data centers in many countries. So the type of cloud computing, this will come in your exam. So if you are writing cloud practitioner, so there are three types: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, right? Just remember these are the terms, basic buzzwords of cloud computing. If you are renting the infrastructure on AWS, just like bare metal servers, that what you are using is called infrastructure as a service. And if you use rather than you yourself renting the hardware and managing your logging into Linux, Windows machines and installing the softwares, or your infrastructure guys doing themselves, that's called infrastructure as a service. But rather than that, if you want the AWS manage the infrastructure, softwares, everything, and you just want by configuration, you wanted to deploy an application. You don't want to take overhead of having Linux, Windows infrastructure engineers to manage the hardware or software, right? Not the hardware, software. Of course, hardware is managed by the AWS cloud itself. So if you abstract the infrastructure management scripts, installing the machines, software in the machines and all you want is just go configure the platform what you want, and if you start using it, it is called platform as a service. Okay. So then the last one is software as a service. This is pretty common, right? SaaS products. So if you use any AWS cloud services, or in general any cloud computing, if you use any software as is, you don't want it to manage itself, you don't want it to configure themselves, and you just wanted to use it as a software, then it's a software as a service. So these are the three types of cloud computing services we can use. So just remember the terminologies and the differences. And the another thing we need to read is the advantages of cloud computing. Okay, and this is a very good documentation link I would share in the description. You can read it later also. The 6 advantages of cloud computing. Typically 1 or 2 questions will come in the practitioner exam. So that's why I wanted to quickly read through this. So by using any organizations using cloud computing, the benefit they will get is they trade the fixed expense for variable expense. What it means is any organizations who purchase the hardware and manage their data center themselves, they spend the money and they procure and fixed expenses, right? They have to go through budgets and procure the hardware, servers, and manage the data center. Rather than that, any company can go live on cloud computing. They don't need to spend any money like a fixed expense upfront. They can just start the servers on AWS or deploy the applications or do data analytics or do any BI tools or networking components, databases, anything. You just go and start using. Let me go back. So yeah, go any service and you start using. So that's why it's a variable expense. You will pay as you go. So that's why cloud, it's no more fixed expense like data center. It is a variable expense. You will only pay as you are going, how much you need. So, and there is a massive economics of scale. That's the terminology in finance world. People say if you use cloud, you pay as you go prices, right? That's why it is economics of scale. Just remember this word, okay? And stop guessing capacity. This is the problem in data centers in on-prem, right? When you go to any on-prem and ask database guys or data server guys or any network guys, you need capacity, you don't know how much you need. So what they do is they guess the capacity. Okay, maybe you need 16x server. Oh, you might need 40 GB servers. So in production, in non-prod environment, so they guess the capacity and they provide, right, on-prem traditional data centers. So but on cloud you don't need to guess. You can start with small footprint and your infrastructure and compute will automatically scale. So that's why it is auto scale capacity, okay? And it increases the speed and agility. As I was mentioning, you don't need to wait for the IT hardware, software, infrastructure available to you to start development. It's ready to use on cloud, right? Any use case you can do, whether you want to host an application or whether you want to deploy a database or whether you want to do a data analytics use case, anything, or you want to do a POC, it's ready to use, correct? And you can stop spending money on maintaining the data centers. So because nowadays startup companies cannot afford owning their own data centers and managing the hardware, right? So that's why it's a highly, cloud computing is a highly beneficial for any small or medium scale companies who cannot manage their data centers. And you can go global in minutes. You just build any website or any application, deploy on AWS, and you can say deploy this in the entire world. It will be available. The website is available on 400 plus point of presence content delivery networks in around the world. So that's the scale you will get with AWS Cloud Computing or any cloud computing. So that's what. So these are the benefits. Why I'm going through is if you are planning to do AWS certification for Cloud Practitioner, this is minimum basic understanding of what is cloud computing you should know, because one or two questions will come from here. And now switching to the certifications, right? So I will go through the AWS certifications, okay? Then I will go through what are the IT jobs and roles and what you can look for, and if you are looking, or you are looking getting into AWS cloud career path, I can share my experience and also guide you what roles you can take, okay? So as of today, if you go to AWS Cloud AWS certifications page, they have two foundational certifications. One is Cloud Practitioner, and they recently added AI Practitioner Foundational. So these are very basic, okay, foundational certifications. If you are very new to AWS and if you have not done any certifications, I would say start with Cloud Practitioner, okay? So this is the best one, so that you will familiarize with AWS Cloud and also you will understand, or you can start your cloud journey through this, okay? And once you are AWS Cloud Practitioner certified, or you already have some AWS Cloud experience in the past, and you think that you have enough knowledge and you have 1 or 2 years experience of AWS, then you don't need to do this. You can directly get into associate level certifications. Okay, so if you are a developer, you can do developer certificate, or you can directly, if you already have 4 or 5 years of AWS cloud solutions or hands-on experience, you can directly go to solution architect associate. So I would recommend, if you are a developer, pick developer. If you want to be an architect, even I would recommend, no one can be a successful architect without a developer experience. So I would recommend still do the developer, then do the solution architect associate. Okay. If you are a DevOps guy or a systems engineer, or you are a traditional Linux engineer or Windows engineer in the past, and you want to get into AWS and do manage the infrastructure or hardware or DevOps, I would recommend you can start. You don't need to do developer and solution architect. You can directly do first cloud practitioner, then do sysops administrator associate. Okay, so that's the career path for you. Okay, and for data engineers, okay, or data analytics, or data analyst, or BA, or data engineers, or data scientist, all these are kind of roles right nowadays in IT industry. If you are into that data driven use cases, then I would recommend you can do cloud practitioner and then directly do data engineer. Okay, so the services what you will be having in data engineer is predominantly like your ETL, data analytics, BI tools. If you have those experiences, those will be in this certification. Okay, and if you are really getting into machine learning specific jobs or use cases or role, you have machine learning engineering associate certificate also. Once you do this associate certificate, I would recommend you to go to professional. You cannot do professional without associate. That's a dependency prerequisite. And even you can see AWS recommends you should have minimum 2 years of cloud experience. And if you are certified in associate, you have equivalent professional certificate. Whoever did developer and solution architect associate, they can do solution architect professional. But if you have done DevOps, system administrator associate, you can do DevOps professional. But if you are a data engineer associate, you don't need to do any of this. But if you are really getting into not only data, you want to be a cloud solution architect also, then I would recommend do associate and professional. And AWS gives very special certifications, specialty certifications when for the people who are in the IT job roles, very specific to networking, you can do networking specialty certificate. But I would still recommend doing any of this specialty after cloud practitioner if you are new to AWS. If you are already in AWS, you just want to enhance your cloud specialty, then I would recommend network guys can go into networking specialty certificates. Again, machine learning, whoever did associate can get into machine learning specialty, or the infosec or security guys who want to do the specialty on AWS security certification, they can do security. So these are the various certification paths you have on AWS. Okay, if you have any specific question, you can use chat Q&A on this live chat. I will read your questions and I will try to answer as we are going through also. So now if I switch back to the slides, okay, so we gone through cloud computing, right? And I was showing what is cloud computing, and I was showing the 6 advantages of cloud computing. These links I will put it also in the descriptions so that you can use them. Okay, later you can refer also. So now getting into cloud practitioner, right? So the cloud practitioner certificate, this is a good starting point. As I was mentioning, this can be done for anybody without any IT prior or AWS experience also. For example, nowadays any managers, people managers, CEOs, CTOs, CXO roles, or doesn't matter they are in IT or non-IT also, they need to know these buzzwords of cloud computing, right? When they go to any meetings, trainings, business cases, they need to understand these terminologies. Nowadays technical functional managers, techno functional managers, all these roles are coming. The world is changing, right? The pure people manager roles are disappearing. You need to understand terminologies. So this cloud practitioners certification is not just for IT, even in non-IT people, like your product managers, general delivery managers, relational managers, any managers also can do this. And they can do so that they can confidently know the concepts of cloud, right, when they go to business discussions or anything. So and so the any IT or non-IT roles can do this, and the certification is AWS certified cloud practitioner. Okay, the second certificate is developer and cloud architect. Okay, I wanted to talk. So if you are planning to do AWS cloud developer or cloud architect, and so these are the high level services you should be knowing, at least for doing this developer certificate or architect certificate. You as a developer or as an architect, you should have hands on these services. Okay, you should have hands on network, you should have hands on compute, database, storage, security, messaging, monitoring and logging, and machine learning. So these are the various. We will go through some of these services for cloud practitioner certification in today and tomorrow, but I just want to list down here. Okay, so the important services that might help you when you are doing your certification. And the job roles, if you are getting into cloud developer role, so this will help you, right? The certification what you should be doing is AWS certified developer role. Okay, and if you are looking for cloud architect, okay, job role, you can do the as I was mentioning, AWS certified solution architect associate or AWS certified solution architect professional. So these are the two certifications might help you. Okay, so this is on the developer and the architect roles. Okay, so if I go to data analytics, okay, so some of you who signed up for this course, I was seeing they are also like a background of data engineers, right, or data analytics. So these are the minimum services you might need to know to do this job. Okay, so for example, on AWS, you don't need to have hands-on on any development, okay, of like programming languages or anything for data analytics. But these are the important analytics services on AWS. S3 bucket to store all your raw data. Athena for Athena is a ANSI SQL query service. Glue is like Informatica ETL jobs. Okay, so for data analytics, if you are a ETL data analytical or ETL role, in that you can learn about this also. QuickSight is like a Cognos or any BI tool in AWS. Okay, and OpenSearch is like a Elasticsearch on AWS. Having some understanding on OpenSearch will help you when you are doing any data analytics jobs. Okay, S3 data lake, Redshift, all these are data warehouses. Okay, and Kinesis and data warehouse are data streaming services. So at least having some hands-on few top S3, Athena, QuickSight, Glue, OpenSearch might help you, and at least having some understanding on the bottom four will help you to do the data analytics certificate, and also it will help you to do the certificate and also your job role also. Okay, so and then the messaging, right? So not only if you are on a data analytics, not only the services, you should also know the messaging services like Amazon SNS SES, monitoring and logging, CloudWatch, machine learning services also. I will go through this. Again, you don't need to have a huge hands-on or programming languages on this. Okay, you just need to know how to use them. They are very simple services to use. So if you know how to use them, that should be good enough. Okay, and the certificate, as I was saying, if you are looking for data analytics, data engineer, data scientist roles, you should use AWS certified data engineer certificate you should be looking for. Okay, and DevOps and SysOps. Okay, so if you are getting into DevOps or system ops or roles, and if you are already in a past experience of DevOps, SysOps, This will be your certification path or the services you should learn on AWS. Okay. You should know cloud formation. This is like Terraform or infrastructure as a code, right? So you should know writing the scripts to do the infrastructure. CloudWatch, CloudTrail is for your monitoring and logging. And if you want to automate all your deployments, CI/CD, DevOps, you should be knowing Lambda, Event Bridge. And you need to know how to deploy. You don't need to have a hands-on experience of writing application code, but you need to know how to deploy the applications that developers wrote into this compute infrastructure. Okay, so that's the DevOps CI/CD roles, right? You should know blue green canary deployments and all. Not only that, you should know how to do this blue green canary zero deployments on AWS. That's what is expected from a cloud DevOps and SysOps job roles. Okay, and the certificate, as I was mentioning, you should be looking for. But sorry, there is a typo here. It's mainly for cloud DevOps guys. You should be looking for SysOps Administrator Associate or DevOps Professional. These are your certification paths. Okay, and so as part of this course, the various cloud services we will go through as part of this AWS Cloud Practitioner in today and tomorrow are network services, compute services, database services, storage services, security services, and dev tools. Okay, so these are the domains, and these are pretty common in any IT industry, right? You will have network, compute, database, storage, security, and some dev tools, right? So we will go through each domain, and we will go through what AWS offers the services in these areas. Again, for cloud practitioner, as I was mentioning, you don't need to have hands-on. You don't need to need how to write the programming, how to write the code, how to build an application, or how to deploy an application. You don't need to know that low level of knowledge. You need to understand what is cloud computing and what AWS offers the services under each of this category, and you need to know the important services only, the critical services in this domain, so that you can understand the foundation of AWS Cloud, and you can do Cloud Practitioner certificate also. At the end of the course also, tomorrow I will guide you or give you tips how to prepare the actual exam and where you can practice the exam, how much it is, all those things. Okay. So now getting into Cloud Practitioner, right? So to do the Cloud Practitioner, the syllabus will be okay, you need to know what is cloud computing concepts, which we are talking now, and you need to understand how the AWS global infrastructure is, which we will talk. Okay, again, and what are the cloud management services, how you can manage cloud, how the billing and pricing will look like. Okay, what is the shared responsibility models, right? And then, as I was mentioning, the domains, right? Identity access management, network, compute, database, storage, machine learning. So these are the areas you need to know. Again, you don't need hands-on. You need to know at a high level what is cloud computing, what are the AWS cloud services they provide, important services for day-to-day IT jobs, right? So if you know those, and if you have the concepts of it, you should be good. But if anybody interested doing this certificate or learning this, not just for cloud practitioner, to get into either a developer role or an architect role or a data analyst role or data engineer role or DevOps, SysOps or machine learning, networking, security, any of these roles, I would recommend they should sign up into AWS free account. I was sharing how to video on how to instructions on how to self sign up. AWS offers 12 months free AWS services. You can use those free services and learn AWS for 12 months. So I would recommend those people who wants to get into those roles, sign up on AWS and practice or go through those services yourself for you to excel in the cloud concepts. Okay, but again, for practitioner, you don't need really programming or hands-on knowledge. Okay, so that's the concepts. So if I go back, switch back to AWS, okay, I will click on this certificate, okay, cloud practitioner, right? So I will talk about cloud practitioner exam syllabus and all how it is. As I was mentioning, this is foundational. The exam is 90 minutes, so 1.5 hours. There are 65 questions, multiple choice, and the cost is 100 USD. You can take this exam in person, like at a Pearson Views testing center, or online. Okay, so exams, so during COVID and even now they offer online also. You can take the exam from home. You have to turn on your camera, and the instructor will be watching the webcam throughout the exam. Or you can go to any test center. They are available across India and the world. Every city has. You can check wherever you live. You can find out the testing center and you can take. Okay, and it's all multiple choice questions. And the cloud practitioner exam, the answers will be just the words. Okay, the services, they will look for what service for what use case, like those questions will be coming. Okay, so that's the cloud practitioner syllabus. Okay, so with this we will get into AWS console, and I wanted to walk through billing and cost management and managing the cloud, the concepts which I was saying, right? So what are all required for AWS Cloud Practitioner? Like for example, we need to know global infrastructure, and we need to know billing and pricing. We need to know shared responsibilities. So those are the important ones. Topics even comes in the exam, and even if you are starting with the cloud, you need to know. So again, you can watch this video or live stream if you are there, and understand the cloud concepts. As I was saying, just for the cloud practitioner exam, you don't need to do hands-on, but you can just watch, understand the concepts, go for the exam. But if you wanted to get into the roles of developer and like architect or any other roles, DevOps, data engineers, SysOps guys, then I would recommend sign up. And if you have followed me on other videos I was sharing in the channel and all links, please self sign up into AWS free account. And I was also going through the free the account links. So like the free services, I will just wanted to quickly show you those. If you type for AWS free tier, right, so you will be able to quickly see all the free services here. See, AWS offers so many free services. Some are free for 12 months, some are free forever also, always free. So I had a video walking through 10 minutes video walking through all the important AWS free services you should know when you are signing up, so that you don't pay any money in 12 months. I have AWS services without paying any single amount also. I was able to manage and learn the services. Okay, so don't wait for on-job learnings and all. If you have on-job learning opportunity, great. If not, I would recommend self sign up on AWS account. At least for 12 months you can stay within these free services and learn the services. Okay, again, just for cloud practitioner, all you need to know is how the services works, what are the services. You don't need to have a deep dive hands-on. Okay, so if I go back to my AWS login, rather than the slides today and tomorrow, I will be walking through the AWS services in the cloud itself. Okay, that's how I want this session be, because the more I spend time on the cloud console and show you the AWS services, it will be more beneficial rather than having the PPT or keynote deck and slides. It will be more productive if I show the actual AWS services and navigate in the console, correct? So this is the AWS console. I logged in as a root user. To start with, as soon as you log in into AWS, on the top you will see the regions. Okay, so these are the regions AWS is. Okay, so in United States, Asia Pacific. So in Asia Pacific we have Mumbai region, and recently AWS came with even Hyderabad region. Okay, if you wanted to see all the regions, you can click on this manage regions, it will take you there. So you will see AWS is in all these regions. Okay, so even there is a Hyderabad region. Recently AWS came up in India, two regions, Mumbai and Hyderabad. So and other, so North America, Europe, you can see Asia Pacific, Middle East, every, so they have good footprint across the world. Okay, these are the AWS regions. Some regions are by default enabled, so we can deploy code in any of these regions. Some regions are disabled, we have to just go there, select the region and enable. Maybe I wanted to enable Hyderabad region, so I can enable that region. So the Hyderabad region will be enabled if I want to use that region. Okay, so these are the regions. So think like AWS regions are something like they have a data center in each of these physical location. Example, in India, Hyderabad or Mumbai, they have a data centers. Okay, so that's a region. If I want to deploy my application, I have to first choose the region where I wanted to deploy. Maybe if my application is US centric or all my users are in USA, I can pick USA data centers or the regions, correct? If my application is only in Europe, I can use Europe based region, right? Or if my application is across the world, I can make sure I deploy my applications in multiple regions so that it is globally available. See, any startup companies or small companies having these many data centers around the world is very expensive, right? That's why it's a economics of scale and go globally in minutes, and you pay only what you use. So it's coming agility, right? It's coming, the data centers are ready for you to use within minutes. I can write a web application, or I can write a data analytics job, or a script, or a DevOps CI/CD, or web full stack front end, or a back end, or a database in any of these region in the world in minutes, right? So that's what the powerful the power of the cloud computing. So just remember, so AWS global footprint starts with the regions. Okay, so you have regions, and in each region, again, each region is not one data center. Okay, each region will have multiple, more than 2 data centers. They call it as availability zones. Okay, just remember the terminologies. This will come in your cloud practitioner exam, but as you are doing more and more hands-on on AWS, you will learn these concepts. Okay, so AWS regions, and each region will have more than 2 availability zones. Okay, so availability zones are real physical data centers. Okay, so in Hyderabad, if I take an example in Asia Pacific, India, Hyderabad, so there are actually 3 data centers. They will be physically distance apart, and those 3 data centers are called under one region, Hyderabad region. Okay, so this is a region and and availability zones. Okay, so now, so if I go to so when I reach here, this page is billing and cost management, right? I can even reach this page from, if you click here and click on billing and cost management, you will come here again, the same page, you can navigate. So there will be few questions on this cost billing management, okay, in cloud practitioner. Not only just for certification, as you are signing up on free tier and learning, you need to know about these functions of AWS also. So I also shared some how to enable the budgets video. I will share. Whenever you sign up on your AWS accounts, the first thing I would recommend, you should go to budgets. See, this is the budgets, and you can put, okay, I'm using free account, but I wanted to make sure I don't spend any cost, right? So you can create a budget of like a zero spend budget. If anytime my bill or the invoice or bill in AWS, my login crosses $1, I want to get an alert, and that alert can be to our email also. For example, you can create a budget. So you can select zero spend budget, or you can have your own monthly cost budget, and you can put in your email ID so that you will get an email whenever the budget crosses. Okay, so that's the feature of budgets. So a question might come in your cloud practitioner, how you will manage or how you will monitor spend on your AWS cloud, that you are not crossing X amount of dollars. then the budgets is the answer. Okay, so in budgets you can put, so this will give you an alert, okay, that hey, you are crossing, are going to cross forecasted, okay, going to cross the budget what you have set. So again, a lot of people worry if they sign up on AWS, so they have to pay, that's why they don't sign up for learning, they wait for company provided AWS accounts. See, if your organization are on job, if you have sandbox accounts, good, you can play there and learn there and use that AWS services. If not, you don't need to wait, do a self sign up free accounts, and there are good amount of free services you can learn, and also you can set budgets so that you will not spend even $1 in next 12 months, right, if you stay there. And you should know which services you are using, and you should know the limitations, then you will learn. Okay, so that's the budgets. Again, see, if you have any questions on the chat, you can please post questions, live chat, and I will be able to answer. So those are the billing budgets. Okay, also you can navigate to bills, and you will see what is your estimated bill, okay, for coming month, and you can pay your bills via the payments. You can, India supports various payments, and you can do payments if any past bills and all that. And there is something called Cost Explorer. Okay, so this question will come, how organizations can monitor their cost, right? So they have, so the Cost Explorer is the service AWS gives. You should come here and you can see the cost of all the services in each month. You can see I signed up on this account recently, so I'm still in the 12 months free period. So this is what I'm spending, $0.02 in VPC, S3 bucket is 0.01, like that. All these services which we will talk in these coming days, okay, today and tomorrow, important services, right? So the cost of these services is like this. So they're pretty low if you stay within the free tier, as I was mentioning, right? So these are the ways for you to explore your cost, and you can explore your cost spend, and you can use all the filters on the right side, right? Which region is spending which, how much, what instance types, or what are the resources categories and all. You can filter and see your cost. You can create your reports, and you can check your free tier also. Okay, so this is another one. You can make sure whatever you are going to use your AWS for your learning, or in your organization or anywhere, you can make sure that you are not crossing the free tier limits. So this is where you can see out of 29 services, one service might cross the free tier. So AWS offers S3 bucket storage, and they give 2000 requests per month are free, right? I think I used maybe in this AWS account 2952. So they are saying I already crossed on 147%. But what was the cost? It is $0.02. So pretty low, right? So even though sometimes some of these services you might cross the free tier, you won't pay much. See, I used all these services, but I'm still in the free tier for my learning or for this course, or even I have my own personal websites or applications I deployed, and I'm not paying any cost. So don't be scared with that. AWS bills will be very high if you self sign up. You can sign up, stay in 12 months, but understand what services are free and you use within them, and AWS will help you. Cost Explorer, free tier, budgets, so that you can control your spend also. Okay, so that's the and AWS has budget reports. So just remember these things. Okay, the questions might come in the exam also. You should know that you have Cost Explorer, budgets and budget reports. Bills and payments is where you will do the payments for your entire AWS bill. So another topic, a question come in the exams. Okay, for personal use we might have only single AWS account and we will learn in that account, but in the real enterprise world, real world scenarios, there will be multiple AWS accounts, right? No organization can go live with a single account, right? So AWS or enterprise companies will have typically 10, 20, 30 AWS accounts, right? they divide some accounts for dev, some accounts for QA, some AWS accounts for production, performance testing, and also they separate the accounts like all the by line of business, right? Like core business will be in this accounts, and compliance will have this accounts, HR finance will have AWS this account. So they separate the AWS accounts by departments or the environments. So when a organization has 20, 30 multiple AWS accounts, how to pay bills? Does the admin of that AWS accounts need to log in into every AWS account and pay bills? No. So to solve this problem, what AWS has done is AWS came up with organizations. Okay, so AWS organizations are the way you can link all the accounts under one parent account, that's called master account, and always you can pay the bills from the master account. Okay, you don't need to go to individual child accounts and pay the invoices, bills. All this what I am showing, billing and cost management, can be managed from a single master account, and there can be 20, 30 child accounts linked to that. That's how the true enterprise organization will create the AWS accounts. Okay, so this is good enough for you to understand at least some questions in AWS Cloud Practitioner, okay, on billing and cost management. So we gone through regions and availability zones, right, how it is across the world, and we gone through billing and cost management. So now let's get into some other concepts like shared responsibility model and cloud management services. Okay, so we will cover those and then we will get into IAM. Okay, so if you look for if I go back here and if I just go back here, and there is a security and compliance I wanted to cover. Then we will see, this is a global infrastructure I was talking, right? So AWS is built with around AWS regions and availability zones. So each AWS region is a physical location in the world, right? So in India we have Mumbai and Hyderabad, just to give an example. USA has 4, okay, and China there is 1, and Singapore has, and UK we have in London, Frankfurt. So strategically these cloud providers like AWS, even Google, Azure, Microsoft, they all have physical locations where they call it, AWS call it as regions, and they will have multiple data centers in one physical location, that's called availability zones. Okay, so that's a global infrastructure, and if you wanted to know the current global infrastructure, you can go to this always link. As I was saying, this will keep changing. AWS is keep on adding. Okay, so currently they have 34 launched regions and 108 availability zones. So as I was saying, 108 data centers under 34 regions. Each region can have multiple availability zones. See these dots, right? So in India we have Hyderabad, Mumbai, and you can see Hyderabad has 3 availability zones, correct? And Mumbai, and USA has, Canada has, USA, Canada West, okay, sorry, and okay, this is another one you need to know, a question might come. Do you see, this is called a government cloud. So what happened is, when AWS launched these regions and data centers, government organizations like in US, FBI, or in India, RA, or any government organizations, their intelligence departments, they also need softwares, correct? Police departments, foreign affairs departments, so they also need softwares, correct? And they also want to deploy their softwares on the cloud, right? So because the same problem governments also will have, like any enterprise organization, they don't want to manage data centers, correct, themselves. And all these are government organizations, intelligent organizations, anti-terrorism, money laundering, this has to share the data, correct, across the countries. So they also need softwares. They also need these softwares in the cloud in multiple regions, in globally, correct? But the government organizations don't want to put their services and their data in a public cloud where other applications are also there, right? Private companies, organization data, because it's a very sensitive, right? So what AWS came up with, there are some cloud regions very dedicated for only government cloud organizations. So only if they have to qualify and approve to use this, right? So just remember, there is a government cloud regions also on AWS for very special use cases, right? So I think this is something coming up. See, if you see the red color, they are coming soon. So some AWS region is coming in Auckland, okay? So Australia has Sydney and Melbourne. So Saudi Arabia is coming soon. Germany is coming soon, okay? So these are the regions. I think this is okay, Palo availability region. So these are the regions and availability zones, okay? And what is CloudFront POPs? So they have 600 plus point of presences. So this is different than regions and availability zones, okay? So what are point of presence means, like AWS has a small data centers, or you can call it as servers locations around the world in 600 plus places, okay? They might lease or rent the infrastructure in that local country, or the service providers or telecom network providers, and what they do is they cache our content. So that's particularly for content delivery network, CDN. Just to give you example of what is CDN, see, when you open any website, okay, it could be apple.com or microsoft.com, or in India hdfcbank.com. when you open these websites, what is the content? The content is either images or logos, images, text, static text, right? Some marketing text, or some static content on the website, right? And when you log in, you have dynamic content, correct? What is dynamic content there? Dynamic content is when you log in, according to your login, there will be data fetched from the backend databases and shown, correct? That is dynamic content. So when you have static content around the world, before the cloud, how it used to work, for example, if you are opening up amazon.com website, correct, for like amazon.com for e-commerce, right, for shopping. Imagine if amazon.com website is only in North America, in one, because it's American based country, right? So Amazon, so if they are only in somewhere North California, and they are deployed all their services only in North California, okay, then around the world, whoever is opening amazon.com website has to download the content, right, the actual images all the way from North California, right? So that's very slow, right? You don't want your images, styles, HTML pages, raw static content all the way come around the world, right? From one location to the users, end users. So what the CDN, content delivery network, will do is they cache the images or the style sheets or the static content of the web application around the world, okay? AWS offers 600 plus locations, it can be cached. So what is the advantage? When someone is opening the website in India, maybe it is cached in their local city, images and all, so it will download very fast, correct? So that's how the performance of the websites can be improved, by locally caching the content, right, using CDN, right? So that's the CDN means, okay? So they have 600 plus CloudFront API POPs, okay? We will talk about CloudFront. CloudFront is a CDN solution in AWS, okay? So they have AWS recently came up with local zones, wavelength zones. You don't need to know, these are very advanced topics, not for Cloud Practitioner. And so as I was mentioning, they support 245 countries, okay, at this point, and they have 135 direct connection locations. So what is direct connector, we will go through when we talk on the network side, okay? So that's the global footprint, okay? And if I go back and see the security and compliance, this is another topic comes in the Cloud Practitioner exam, okay? So in Cloud Practitioner exam, so they might ask you one or two questions, and you also need to understand the security and benefit and compliance. Okay, so when you talk about security, see, the companies who used to have their data and services, everything on their on-premise data centers, they control their own data centers, so they are very confidential, secured, right, their data centers. But the moment companies has to put their data and applications, services, source code, logs, everything on the cloud, security matters, right? They are worried about their security. What if a company competitor might steal the data from another competitor data, correct? So this is the big worry of banking, core banking, healthcare companies, right? They don't trust cloud initially, right? So what cloud providers does, like AWS, is they provide a stringent security, and the security in AWS is shared model. That means AWS will take care of their security, they will take care of their hardware, and you have to take care of your data. So this is the diagram, so you need to, this is the link I will provide. Okay, there will be a question in the exam about this. So at the bottom, if you see, AWS will take care of hardware infrastructure security, right? So all these regions, data centers, physically AWS will take care. There will be physically boundaries and fire extinguishers, security guards, proper access controls to their servers. Nobody can just like that enter their data centers, AWS data centers. So physical security and infrastructure will be completely taken care by AWS. Okay, and they call it as AWS responsible for security of the cloud. Okay, so AWS takes care of security of the cloud. Okay, just remember, the logically you can think, right, the physical security is managed by AWS, and what customers should do is, customers should take care of security in the cloud. So customers like you or me or companies, right, whoever deploying their services into AWS, they should take care of protecting the data, and they should take care of protecting their network infrastructure, APIs, databases, everything. Whatever we deploy, we should protect our infrastructure, not infrastructure, but protect our services by configurations. So customer will take responsibility of data, applications, whatever we deploy, correct? And AWS take care of hardware and infrastructure, physical. So a question can come, so just remember these are the security things, okay, in AWS. And compliance, correct? So basically benefits of AWS security are, it keeps your data safe, it meets the compliance requirements, you save money because you are not doing any physical hardware maintenance and securing the physical hardware, right? And no matter your size of business, as I was showing, you will get 35 plus and 100 plus availability zones or data centers ready to deploy and use, correct? So that's the benefits of AWS security and infrastructure. Compliance is another thing. See, lot of companies has compliance requirements, right? If you are using credit card data in your application and processing, you need PCI compliance. We call it as PCI, card data compliance, okay, card data. Or if you are dealing with medical data in US, it's called HIPAA. Or so like these things. So every country has their own compliance, or some globally we have privacy and security laws, correct? So the customers also has a question, if I deploy my application on AWS, whose responsibility when auditor comes and asks, show me, are you compliant with PCI compliance, are you compliant with HIPAA, are you compliant with the SOX audits, right? So all these compliance questions will come, right? So what AWS has put is, they have listed down all their services which are compliant to this certified for this. So you should not worry if you deploy your application on S3 bucket. Is S3 bucket PCI compliant? If you store the data in S3 bucket, or if you deploy the application in EC2 or Beanstalk or EKS, is it PCI compliant? Or if you store data in S3 bucket, is it PCI compliant? So those kind of questions if you come, or if your auditors ask you, show me your compliance reports, you can get from AWS and you can provide that also. The infrastructure what you are using from AWS is compliance to the certificates, okay. And if you want to get those, okay, so they have certificate center, okay, and here I think you have you need to remember AWS has artifacts, okay. I think that's the service you will be using. If auditors comes and asks you, show me that you are compliant with PCI, or show me that you are compliant with HIPAA, so AWS has a document center, okay, where you can download their white papers, their certified certificates, okay, and you can show it to your auditors, okay. This question will come in Cloud Practitioner. That service is called AWS Artifacts, okay. So just remember that, okay. So this is about security and compliance, and now we will get into this. So we gone through cloud computing, we covered advantages of cloud computing, we looked at types of cloud computing and global infrastructure, we looked at security and compliance, correct? And I gone through all the certifications that AWS provides, right? And the free services, how to sign up and all, and what cloud certificate is useful for what purpose, what are the IT job roles and all, okay. See, beyond this also, if you have any questions and all, you can post in the chat, or you can send, and I can also guide you offline, okay. And now let's get into the actual AWS Cloud Practitioner exam services, okay. So as I was mentioning, to prepare this exam, you need to know cloud computing concepts, global infrastructure, regions, availability zones. You need to know how to manage the cloud with cloud like a cost explorer, budgets, right? Your free services, all those things you need to know. Billing and pricing you need to know. And I was mentioning, you can have master account with multiple child accounts when you wanted to pay at the master account level, right? And you need to know shared responsibility model. So remember, the security of the cloud is AWS responsibility. They will take care of physical hardware security. Security in the cloud is customer responsibility. You need to make sure you secure it with your data and all, right? So that's the AWS security models, okay. Okay, so now we will get into the services that are required for you to take the exam, okay. Again, just I wanted to repeat again, for cloud practitioner you don't need really the hands-on experience, okay. You can go through, understand these services, what service is for what purpose, then you should be able to take the exam, okay. And but if you want to excel or get into AWS career paths of all these I was mentioning, right, like developer or architect or data analysts or DevOps or SysOps, those roles, I would recommend sign up on the AWS account and spend some time, learn under the free services. You can spend 12 months and learn these services. I will share the labs and hands-on labs or instructions also, so that you can practice and learn those, okay. So with this, I think we will start. The first foundational service you need to know in AWS is called AWS IAM, Identity Access Management, okay. We will do this service today, or we will look into it at least. I will walk you through on AWS console, okay, about that service. So if you go to AWS and on the top, if you search for IAM, right, Identity Access Management, okay. So it will, so this is the one of the important AWS service, and I wanted to show you something here. See, the moment you select the IAM service, you don't see any specific region. All the regions are grayed out, right? You do see only global. What this means is, this service is not meant for each region. It is a global service. Doesn't make sense, right? This service don't want to be in a individual region of the AWS account. It will be complex for you to manage. So this identity access management, where users log in, see, I logged in as a root user, right? So if you signed up on AWS, if you log in, you also one of the user in, you logged in, but you are not a IAM user, you are a root user. You can come here and what you can do is you can create users for others to log in. For example, organizations will have one root user, right? But they will create IAM users for their developers, their QA people, their architects, SysOps, DevOps admins, network engineers, InfoSec engineers to log in into AWS, correct? So they are called IAM users, okay? So they go to users and they will create users, okay? For example, I have an admin user, staging admin user, like that. So in AWS IAM, under the users, you can create various users. For example, I can create a app support user, I can create a QA only user who can check only logs, or I can create a developer user who can do all the development, right? So those are the users, okay? But just by creating the users, they won't get access. To grant the access to the users, that's called policies, okay? So you need to have policies to attach it to the user so that they get the access. So in AWS, identity access management, just know IAM, okay, or identity access management. So AWS IAM, if I go here, okay, AWS IAM is the way to manage the access controls of your cloud accounts, okay? So that's the IAM. This is for the users who will log in into this AWS and manage. So this is for the organization employees, correct? In any organization, you will have roles of developers, architects, DevOps, SysOps, network engineers, InfoSec engineers, machine learning developers, right? So all they also need to get into AWS, right? Access the AWS. So those are the users will be here. So those users can be managed via IAM, okay? Just remember what for this service is. If you get a question in Cloud Practitioner, by which AWS service any organization can manage their internal users, it is Identity Access Management, IAM, okay? Just know that you don't need to have any organization doesn't need to have 500. If they have 500 IT employees, they don't need to have 500 users here. They can log in through single sign-on, okay? SSO, right? They could be using Okta or any Microsoft AD or Authenticator or any Microsoft Active Directory, so like a directory service. So they can do single sign-on also through the IAM, okay? So that's how the typical organizations will do. And the policies are the way to control the access. See, for any user, if I attach this administrator access, they will get the admin access, right? Or I can create another policies where I will say read-only access, and that IAM access role I can attach it to a app support resource, right? So they will get only read-only access. So overall, you understand, right? So AWS IAM is for managing the user access for the users who will be logging into this company in the console, okay? And if I just wanted to show you one user, okay, just I will show you one user. So all I have to create username. Maybe the username is, okay, like app support, okay, user 1 I will put, okay, app user 1. And if you see, I can attach this user to a group. The groups are where we logically kind of give the common permissions, right? That's called in Active Directory. Also in Microsoft, we do groups, right? Or I can copy permissions from somebody else, or I can attach a policy directly. Let's assume this app user will have admin access, then I can attach admin access. So all these policies are AWS managed policies, so we don't need to write, okay? If we want to write our own custom policy, we can create a policy also, or I can use out of the shelf managed policies, okay? This is how I can give the access to users. I just wanted to show the features of IAM. Again, you need to know these concepts. So IAM, identity access management, exists. We can manage the users and their permissions. We can even use single sign-on, and also from your on-prem directory services, and also you have user groups to control the access, right? And you have account settings here, so you can set even the password policy. Okay, so anybody who will be logging into AWS should have minimum password length and their strength, like upper, lowercase. So whether this password will be ever expired or it will expire every 90 days. These are the typical password policies organizations will have, right? So those also could be controlled here. So if a question comes in our cloud practitioner, remember that using password policy under the account settings in IAM, you can manage the policy. Okay, so these are the main important things you need to know. As I was saying, right, AWS organizations is another service in AWS where you can manage multiple AWS accounts. Okay, but you can have billing, invoicing, payments, everything through one master account. Similarly, you can have even identity access management, IAM, also under one master account. Okay, so you don't need to have IAM in all the 30 AWS accounts in any typically companies will not do that. Any companies who has AWS cloud journey, they will create separate out production and non-prod. They will separate out according to the departments or the line of business. And also what they will do is they will create AWS organizations with master account and child accounts. They set up IAM users only in the master account. Again, they will not create the users here. They will use single sign-on Active Directory or any single sign-on logins, and they will also manage the IAM users and billing and cost, everything under master account. Okay, single account you can manage. Okay, so this is the IAM I wanted to talk. Just for the cloud practitioner, this should be good enough. You don't need to come here and create those IAM users and all. Okay, so now if I move on from IAM, the next service or the domain I wanted to talk is network. Okay, so if you click here, okay, and search for VPC, right? So virtual private cloud, this is the network service. Okay, and if I click on VPC, just know that, okay, in AWS there is a service called VPC, virtual private cloud. Okay, so VPCs are the way to create the network. So when AWS cloud migration or any companies wants to migrate to the cloud, they create the network first, right? First somebody will sit and organize the accounts. They will create multiple AWS accounts and create the structure, and they create the logins, roles, IAM, all those things, and then immediately network foundation is the one-time job, right? This network don't happen every day, but during the initial cloud setup, network is the another thing that need to be laid out properly. So any cloud network engineers or your on-prem network engineers will do network setup on AWS, right? So what are the network support services are like in AWS are VPC. Remember just the names and the use cases. Okay, you don't need hands-on for cloud practitioner exam. Okay, but if you are a developer or solution architect, I would recommend come and do hands-on here, but I will give more labs in going forward. Okay, so VPC, virtual private cloud. Okay, virtual private cloud is the VPC, and subnets are like a networking concept. Okay, and route tables, internet gateways. So just know that there is a VPCs if you wanted to create any network in AWS. So the only one important network service I would recommend you to know for your cloud practitioner exam, right, is transit gateways. A question can come, okay, if at all it comes. Okay, what is transit gateways? Transit gateway is a network service in AWS, help you to bring the network between across the regions. For example, if any organization deployed their application in Hyderabad, and also in Sydney in Australia, 2 regions. Okay, and if the applications has to talk each other across these regions and communicate from application to database or application to application, you don't need to use public internet for that. If you create a transit gateway, using transit gateway you can communicate using the private AWS network. Okay, that's it. That's good enough for you to know. Okay, for cloud practitioner. Okay, in future for any network special courses we will go deep dive. Okay, so transit gateways are meant for network communication across the regions. Okay, so that should be good enough. Okay, and there is another service in AWS might be important for cloud practitioner exam, is called direct connect. Okay, VPNs are like a typical VPN connections between your cloud region and also data center, but there is another service called direct connect. Okay, I would like you to know at least the direct connect. See this one, direct connect. This is also a network service. I just want to talk about this so that if a question comes, you are prepared for this. Okay, and you need to just know what is direct connect. Okay, so AWS direct connect will help you a dedicated network from your on-prem data center to nearby AWS. See, every companies who are on-prem, and if they are trying to migrate from on-prem to cloud, correct, during the cloud migration, right, during the cloud migration they might have some services still on-premise and also on the cloud, correct. So but any startup companies, any brand new organizations who are building their infrastructure or application only on AWS may not need this direct connect. Okay, this direct connect is typically for to establish between your on-prem and AWS. You can have a dedicated network so that it will be very fast. Okay, that's what the direct connect is. So remember, in AWS under the network, if you just know 3 services, that's good enough at least. Okay, VPC, virtual private cloud, is the way to manage the network in AWS, and transit gateway is a service that will help you to communicate between the 2 AWS regions for your services. If you have your AWS services deployed in multiple AWS regions, and if you want them to communicate each other, and then transit gateway is the way for communication. And direct connect is meant for on-prem to AWS. Okay, if you have all your infrastructure on any on-premise data center, physical data centers, right, and if you are if the organization in the cloud migration journey and half of the services are on AWS cloud and half of the services are still on-premise, then AWS direct connect is the way for you to bridge the communication between the on-premise and the AWS cloud. Okay, so these 3 are the network services you need to know for the cloud practitioner exam. Okay, so we gone through IAM, we gone through the network main services for you to know the exam. Okay, now let's get into compute, or I would start with the compute. Okay, so if I go to compute, okay, EC2 is my important service, okay, in the compute world. Okay, so if I talk about compute, actually, you can click on these dots on the AWS, you will see services by category also. Okay, I just want to show you all the AWS services under each category, right. So under the network, here under the network we spoke on very basic things, direct connect, and we spoke on VPC, right. So this might come in your question, and remember this also might come in exam. Okay, cloud practitioner, they might ask a question that the answer is global accelerator. Okay, if you want to improve the performance of your application globally, you can use global accelerator. Okay, maybe a website is performing very slow or APIs are performing very slow, and you want use what AWS service will help you to improve the performance of that service on AWS. global accelerator. Okay, remember VPC is for creating the isolated network, virtual network. Global accelerator is to improve the performance. Direct connect is to bring the connection, dedicated network connections to AWS from your on-prem. Okay, those are the things. Okay, and transit gateway, as I mentioned, is for across between the two regions. If you want to communicate privately, transit gateway. And I spoke about CloudFront also, but I will go through the service. CloudFront is a way to, as I was mentioning, CloudFront, you can globally cache the content, like images, style sheets, or static content, so that your website will, or any content will perform very fast and locally served. So people in India can download these website images very fastly. Their browsers will download from the Hyderabad or local city, or in Australia they will download from their local city. So when your website resources, static resources, are cached around the world, it will give you high performance, right? So that's called content delivery network. And one of the practical example of this is, you might be noticing in your personal life when you are opening any websites, you might say Cloudflare, Akamai. These are the content delivery network CDN solutions. So on AWS, CloudFront is the service. Okay, so just knows these things. Okay, then it might come in your exam. Okay, another one I want to quickly talk is API gateway. Okay, so API gateway is for APIs. Yeah, okay, to host your APIs on AWS, API gateway. Again, you don't need hands-on, you just know there is a service, that's enough. Okay, for APIs, to host the APIs. Okay, so that's the network. And we spoke on identity access management, right? And we spoke on network. Okay, so even I will quickly go through now onto the compute. Okay, so in compute, when I say compute, it is for application servers, like that, right? So organizations wrote some applications, and that applications could be in .NET, Java, any programming languages, and the companies wants to deploy that applications, or the developers wants to deploy on the AWS. What are my options if I want to deploy my applications onto AWS? So you have various options, but again, for Cloud Practitioner, just know very important service, okay, is called EC2, Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay, so that's the EC2. So I would like you to know at least the name of the service. Okay, and it might come in the exam. Okay, so just even sometimes they might ask abbreviation of the EC2. What is EC2? Okay, so if you just know this service, basics of this service, okay, it will be good. So Amazon EC2 is one of the virtual machine renting infrastructure as a service. Okay, so in AWS you can have EC2 instances, virtual machines it's called, and developers, DevOps guys can deploy applications into EC2. So as a cloud practitioner, you don't need to know how to do it. Okay, you don't need to launch the instance and all, but I just want to show AWS EC2 offers all these operating systems. You can have Amazon Linux, even AWS offers Mac operating system virtual machine also. You can have Ubuntu, you can have Microsoft, you can have Red Hat, SUSE, Debian. So all these are Linux flavors, right? I just want to show you AWS comes with, this is the core fundamental service of AWS, very important service of AWS, EC2, computing, in the computing world. Okay, so AWS renting a virtual machine or infrastructure as a service, the top service in AWS is EC2. Just know that for any use cases where you want to deploy the application on a server of your own, EC2 is the service. Okay, and AWS comes with various operating systems. If you are deploying a .NET application, you might be requiring Windows machine, correct? Or if you are deploying any Linux supported machines, you can do Linux. Or if it is very strictly Mac OS, you can do Mac OS also, right? And AWS EC2 has free tier. So I was mentioning in the video also, it comes with a 750 hours. You can spin up T2 micro or nano instances, I think. Okay, so if you sign up on AWS, you can spin up the servers, you can connect the servers via port 22. I mean, whoever wants to do hands-on, okay, not for this exam itself, but whoever wants to do hands-on can spin up EC2 instances, and they can use 757. If you see, 750 hours is equal to running 24/7 for 30 days. If you multiply 30 days, multiply by 24 hours into 7 days, okay, or say basically, sorry, 30 days into 24 hours, it is 760 hours it will come. So you are almost all getting free for an entire month. Again, remember here, you don't need to have one EC2. You can have multiple EC2s running. If the total time is 750 hours that you ran, it's free. So you can spin up the EC2s on weekdays, learn and shut down them, or you spin up the EC2s on weekends, Saturday, Sunday, learn, and you make sure that you stop and terminate the EC2 on Sunday night. Then, so only whenever you use it, that hours only is calculated. You pay for only the hours that you used in EC2. So another important thing you need to know as a cloud computing is, as I mentioned, pay as you go. Just because you took the EC2 server, you will pay only how many hours you ran the server. If you are running in production, a company is running a server in production only on weekends, Saturday, Sunday, because batch jobs need to run, then the company will pay only for the weekend hours. So that's the EC2 pay as you go model. Okay, so just remember that you will pay only for the hours what you used. Okay, I think their billing rate is per minute also. Okay, but only for the minutes you used. Okay, and just for the cloud practitioner exam, I would recommend you know that you can save amount on these EC2s by purchasing long-term plans also. You can reserve instances and all. I think this is a good time. I would like to go again to billing and cost management, and I want to show you that. Okay, this can come in the exam, and you need to know as a cloud computing or cloud practitioner also. Okay, savings and commitments, right? So, and overview, if you go to overview, you will have savings plans. So this is very important thing you need to know. Okay, probably I will go to reservations and I will show you here. Okay, or enter the savings plans. I'll go to inventory or recommendations. Okay, let me go there under recommendations. So what recommendations. What I'm trying to show you here is, this is one of the important thing as a cloud practitioner or as an architect or as a cloud admin or engineer, anybody should know about this. Okay, how to optimize the cost in AWS. Every organization cannot just look innovation, building the services, deploying on AWS, performance, all these things. Cost is also important factor, right? Every organization wants to keep the cost of the IT infrastructure as low as possible. So what AWS gives is, any of the EC2 servers, just now we are talking, right, EC2 servers, you can have hundreds of EC2 machines, servers running. Some will be running throughout the year 24/7, 365 days. Some might be running only on weekend jobs, correct? But you will be paying per hour or per minute, correct, how long they are running. So AWS also gives some further discounts and cost savings for the organizations if you go with the saving plans. This is like you purchase upfront 1 year plan or 3 year plan. Example, an organization can say, hey, I would like to purchase, we are deploying our applications on AWS, and they are guaranteed that they will be on AWS for next 5 years. Then they can purchase maybe some 20, 30 EC2 servers and pay some little bit amount upfront, and they will get a discount. They will get 30% discount on the total bill if it is 1 year. I think 50% also you can get if you purchase for 3 years commitment. So, and also this way you can do partially upfront or no upfront also, or purchase this. So this way the organizations can save some money if they are on AWS for long term, right? As a practitioner, you might get a question, what are the options for you to save the cost, reduce the cost? So make sure that you use the savings plans of 1 year and 3 year commitments. Okay, you can save the money, and budgets are the way for you to get the alerts and monitor. Cost explorer is the way to analyze the cost, correct? So that's the one. And bills and payments are where you will come and do the payments and all, right? So if you have purchased any reservations, I think they will come up here, and your cloud engineers or root user or whoever is the owner of these accounts, cloud engineering team, can come and review the reservations and all. Okay, so this is about EC2. Let me, cost savings I wanted to talk. Let me go to back to EC2. Okay, and I will, if I go back to EC2, so as I was talking, EC2 stands for a compute service where applications can be deployed. You can purchase reservations and save the money, right? And you have various instance types, and you have various instance to pick also. Okay, so for example, AWS gives specific instances like micro, nano, small, medium, so their sizes and all. Okay, so you can pick which size of the server you need on AWS. Okay, and you can pay, the cost of their on demand or Linux or Windows pricing. On demand means you didn't purchase, you just want to pay, you want to spin up a server for next 4 hours to do a POC. You can take the server launch here and you will pay like this, 0.00 per hour, like this. But again, as I was mentioning, free tier you get 750 hours free. If you are learning, you can have for 12 months you can learn these services. Okay, so that's the AWS EC2. Okay, so just wanted to talk very important service. Okay, in AWS compute, serverless is Lambda. Just there you take the server like any Linux machine, and your Linux engineers has to install the software and manage the servers like any data center, right? So what if you don't want to manage the infrastructure? AWS came up with a serverless service called Lambda. So I will just show you how Lambda looks. Okay, if you go to Lambda, you don't need to think about servers. So this will help any startup companies, organization, no need to have huge infrastructure guys, correct, servers, right? Okay, so AWS Lambda is one of the serverless service. Okay, so which will help here. So these are the more compute services. We will be talking more in coming days, today and tomorrow also. So with this, actually I wanted to pause here for today, and we will continue from tomorrow on the AWS compute again. Okay, from Lambda, database, these services again. From practitioner, you don't need to have hands-on. If you know the services, that's good enough. Okay, because the questions might come, what service you will be using for what purpose. So tomorrow we will continue again compute, database, storage, machine learning services, and I will give how cloud practitioner exam questions will look like, and I will do some practice questions also. So with this, I would like to stop here. If you have any questions and all, you can post, and we will connect again tomorrow. Thank you.